each year since 1987, people have reported being busier than the year before. When asked what they sacrificed to their busyness, 56% cited sleep, 52% recreation, 51% hobbies, 44% friends, and 30% family. Now, in response to these statistics, one might think, but I like to be busy. Busy feels productive. And here is where it's important to distinguish the nuance between an active life, driven by intentionality and reflection, compared to a life that feels out of control, lacking meaning and direction. The first is an autonomy mindset, and the second, a busyness mindset. And the real difference between them is the choice to align our time with our values and goals. Interestingly, most of us actually experience both of these mindsets. The key to becoming more active participants in our lives is determining where in our lives we are using clear, intentional, and mindful choices around our use of time, and where we're leaning in to the busyness mindset and responding to all of the inputs coming our way. For myself, in high school, I had an autonomy mindset when it came to academics. I refrained from saying I don't have time, and instead found ways to make my priorities possible. I realized that if I started research experiments at 7:15 a.m. before school, I could finish these 8-hour experiments in the time of a school day. Waiting at the bus stop became an ideal time to review index cards. In fact, with intentional scheduling, I realized I could even do multiple cool internships in a single summer. And I felt incredible about all of these choices. On the other hand, while I had such a strong autonomy mindset when it came to academics, the busyness mindset took over when it came to relationships, hobbies, and daily joys. The first story that comes to mind when I think about this takes place in my freshman year of high school. On a rare, warm, and sunny day in February, when my friend Elizabeth says, "I'm so excited to go on a walk once I step off this bus." For context, I adore walks outside, and I would have been over the moon to take a walk too. But I immediately thought to myself, I can't. I have too much to do and no time, and my heart dropped. Even a simple walk, something that was right outside my front door, incurred no monetary cost, and took just 10 minutes, felt beyond my reach. My mindset has come a long way since then. And what I've learned is that when we say no to things we want to say yes to, with the sole reason of being busy, we make that our perceived reality. Under the guise of busyness, we let our relationships, hobbies, and fulfilling professional and educational endeavors take a back seat. So now that we've discussed the gravity of this situation at hand, the question follows: how do we become more active participants in our lives? To discuss this, I want to reflect on a few practices that have immense potential to help us in this endeavor. The first practice is aligning our use of time with our values. I've yet to meet anyone across ages and professions who says they have enough time. When everyone has access to the same 24 hours, it becomes clear that I have no time is in fact an inaccurate statement. Rather, when we take a few moments to consciously elucidate what our values are, and then intentionally organize our lives so that as much as possible, our values align with our use of time, our days can feel much more meaningful and fulfilling. The second practice is taking responsibility for our choices. The busyness mindset blinds us to our ability to choose how we use our time. It has become increasingly common to opt to blame instead of take responsibility for our choices. One of the first stories that comes to mind when I think about this takes place in my sophomore year of high school, when I decided I was sick and tired of all the things I had to do and wanted to do something just because I wanted to. And so I chose to watch a TED Talk each morning on the bus ride to school. And it was an incredible choice. The reason I bring this up, though, is because of the irony in my motivation. I had wanted to do something just because I wanted to, while forgetting that everything I did in my life was a choice I made because I wanted to. When we take a deeper look, it is most often us choosing how we use our time. And when we take responsibility for our role in making these choices, we earn a greater and more intentional hand in our own lives. The third practice, and this is a really big one, is to use language consciously. Our words are an incredible, tangible tool to help us in building mindsets. Research shows that our words influence our thoughts, behaviors, and perceptions. How we frame things linguistically shapes our decisions and lived experiences. Every time I told myself I couldn't do something because I was too busy and didn't have time, I made a time-starved life into my soul reality. So, wanting to break this cycle, I promised myself I wouldn't use the words busy or no time to identify myself, and instead chose to use the full truth. For instance, if I wanted to read tonight and chose not to, instead of saying I couldn't because I had no time, I acknowledged that I was choosing to read later because I wanted to prioritize another time-sensitive endeavor first. This powerful shift in language, from busy or no time to honest self-reflection, is an essential tool that, through fostering greater self-awareness, can help us begin to build an autonomy mindset. Now that we've discussed these practices, the question arises, what does life look like when we're a more active participant in our lives? To reflect on this, I want to share some things I've noticed. The first is that more of our time can feel meaningful to us. Instead of life directing me, I was able to start guiding my own life. I recognized that the hours I spent comparing myself to others were a choice I didn't have to make. If I wanted to attend a friend's graduation, I learned to schedule it in advance instead of convincing myself I was too busy. Even train rides, often viewed as obligatory, became opportunities for growth by placing books I wanted to read on hold at the library in advance so that they were ready to bring along. By actively considering, in every single moment, how to use time in alignment with my values and goals, I started to become a more active participant in my own life. Additionally, my friendships and relationships became more meaningful. Previously, the busyness mindset prevented me from considering opportunities for connection. Removing the default "I'm busy" response opened up new possibilities. I started phone calling long-distance friends while folding laundry and coordinating commutes with people. Another observation is that I experienced more efficiency. Research shows that prolonged stress negatively impacts productivity, even shrinking brain structures, essential for cognitive function. By stressing less about not having time, I had more time for meaningful activities. For example, in my junior year of high school, I was able to use my daily study breaks to learn the harmonium, which is a meaningful reed instrument in my culture, and even attempted some of me and my brother's favorite songs. And one final observation. I now take a 10-minute walk almost every single day. Are there days I choose not to take a walk? Absolutely. And I now recognize that that is a choice, not a lack of time. The potential of an autonomy mindset is that with it, we realize the confidence that we can make the choices to align our time with our values and goals. And that is my hope for all of us. Thank you.